What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Inside You, the college sports podcast. I'm your host, Xavier Audick, and we are here today to discuss the Champions Classic. The Champions Classic kicked off the inaugural 2018-2019 college basketball season. A lot of great games, 4 top 10 teams playing. Game 1, Kansas taking on Michigan State. Obviously, Game 2, the game that received a lot more attention, Duke, Kentucky. So let's get right into and break it down, analyze these 4 teams, and project what they're going to do going forward. Obviously, Michigan State, Tom Izzo's team, disappointed in their showing, losing 92-87 to the Jayhawks. Looking at that Michigan State team going into the game, Cassius Winston received a lot of hype. Many were saying he might be the best player in the Big 12. Unfortunately, Winston did not have the game the Spartans needed to get the job done. He did have an opportunity at the end there to have a big layup. Unfortunately, it was a little bit long, and it cost the Spartans an opportunity to make a comeback. They were down by as much as 20 at some point. For them to have rallied the way they did shows you what Izzo's team can do. Given that this is an Izzo team, they're always going to be in competitive games just because they play defense and hard and they rebound. One of the few bright spots for the Spartans, though, Kenny Goins, the former walk-on, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. And even with having been down for most of the game, the Spartans very much had their opportunities. As they come up with a couple of big threes or a big shot here or there, they certainly could have won this game. I think that's what I saw most from this Spartan team, was that they lacked someone to really count on in the closing minutes when they needed someone to come up with a big basket for them. I think that's what really cost them the game against the Jayhawks. Now, looking at the Jayhawks, a very impressive start for Bill Self's team. Going in, I was very interested to see what Udoka Azubuike, the Jayhawks stellar center, did in the offseason. He finished with 17 points and 4 blocks, and he certainly could have had over 20 points, although he had some issues finishing early on. Also, there was a crucial stretch in the second half, the middle part of that second half, where they appeared to ignore Azubuike. They went away from their strategy of getting it into him as an initial focal point of their offense. Had they done so, likely he would have had 25 points. Certainly this is a guy who, if he continues to improve, could easily average a double-double a night, although I'm a little bit concerned about his motor. Dedrick Lawson, who some are saying is the best player in all of college basketball, he finished with 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. A great start for the Jayhawks program, which is looking to distance itself from the pay-for-play scandal that has really done a number on the school. Big win for the Jayhawks, as it was the first time they had beaten the Spartans in the Champions Classic, and certainly the way you want to start the season. Izzo's team, even with suffering the loss, certainly still going to have a very good season and be a team you don't want to face in the Big Ten. Like I said earlier, as long as they continue to play defense and rebound, which you know and Tom Izzo coach team is going to do, they're going to give a lot of teams problems. So that moves us along to Duke, Kentucky. Duke winning their 118-84. Going in, a lot of people thought that the youth of the Blue Devils team would keep them from coming up with the victory here. I think a lot of people thought it'd be a game where both teams trade baskets, but Kentucky's experience gives them the decision-making edge, which allows them to pull away at the end. Certainly that was not the case. Wow is all I can say for this Duke Blue Devils team. Starting 4 freshmen, certainly no signs of nervousness for this trio. R.J. Barrett, 33. Cam Reddish, 22. Zion Williamson's 28 points. Also, this is a team that you do not want to run with or get in transition with. R.J. Barrett having a huge dunk there. Very impressive showing from Mike Krzyzewski's team. Looking at this Kentucky team, certainly struggled a little bit offensively. Reed Travis, their best scorer, 22 points and 7 rebounds. Initially, I think they got themselves in a hole by trying to run with this Duke team. However, they soon realized that they did not want to give this Duke team an opportunity to get in transition. When they did slow the game down and get in their half-court sets and really force them to defend, they certainly had their moments, and they were even able to pull relatively close at one point, getting the lead down to as little as 7. Unfortunately, that's the closest they got, and Kentucky continued to pour it on, resulting in the final score. Looking at that Blue Devils team, certainly depth is a little bit of a concern. When they did pull out their starting 5, they did slow down a little bit. That's when the Wildcats were able to really make their best runs. Also in the half court, like I said, that's when Kentucky had their most success scoring. But a great start for Mike Krzyzewski's team. So looking at these 4 teams, like I said, Michigan State, I think they're one big score away from really competing against the elite teams. But certainly they're going to have their moments this year. Still a force in the Big Ten. And I think if you're Tom Izzo right now, the thing that you have to be most happy about is Kenny Goins' emergence. Very likely that he has a bigger role than many expected going into the season for the Spartans team. Also, you're hoping that Nick Ward continues to improve. I think he forced some shots early on, trying to kind of show his strength against Azubike. Those certainly did not help the Spartans and dug them in a hole a little bit. Kansas, on the other hand, they are now the team to beat in the Big 12. As long as they have Azubike out there on the floor and their shooters are making their shots, the opportunities that he's going to present that team are going to be plentiful. Very likely they're the team to beat in the Big 12. Certainly in for a big year. Kentucky, on the other hand, I think John Calipari said it best after the game. We got outplayed and we got outcoached. They will learn from this. The reality is that as long as you play the game and as long as you coach, you're going to suffer these kinds of defeats from time to time. Very likely that this rematch would occur in March Madness. The Wildcats will learn for this, approach the game with a different philosophy, both offensively and defensively, and things will be a lot closer. Krzyzewski's team, certainly very impressive. Like I said, not unbeatable. Definitely think that a team like the Jayhawks with their center in Azubike, a guy who can really command a presence and then open up some of the lanes and create open shots for his team, would give the Blue Devils more trouble. Also, I really am intrigued and would love to see the matchup of Azubike being guarded by Zion Williamson. Even with Williamson giving up significant inches in height, his vertical leap would make that a very intriguing matchup. And we certainly know, after seeing him throw around some of the Wildcats players on Tuesday night, that this is a guy who is strong. He can fight you on the block and really impose his will on people. So I think going forward, like I said, all these teams will have successful seasons. Certainly everyone is going to learn things. But if they had to go head-to-head today, I really do believe that the Jayhawks could pull away from this Duke team, barring the fact that they're going to have to avoid getting in transition, slowing the game down, and really imposing their will on this Duke team. But certainly Duke right now, you have to look at them and say, well, if that's not the number one team in the country, I don't know who is. Michigan State probably will drop a little bit, but should still be in that 10 to 15 slot. Kentucky's certainly going to drop a lot, but I think it's more a case of them just having been dealt a raw hand. You know, when you open the season against arguably the best team in the country, you're going to have these issues if you don't come ready to play. And then Kansas, like I said, probably right behind Duke right now at number 2. So a lot of interesting basketball going forward. Great way to start off the season with the Champions Classic, and I am excited about this college basketball season. So this is Inside You, the College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Xavier Audick, and we are signing out. Bye.